Hi guys, so this is the 9 affirmations for creating effective affirmations. Okay, so this is the 9 guidelines that you would actually do as a result. So the first one is start with the words I am. The words I am are the 2 most powerful words in the language. The subconscious takes a sentence that starts with the words I am and interprets it as a command, a directive to make it happen. The second one is use the present tense. Describe what you want as though you already have it, as though it is already accomplished. An example of that is, well, look at the wrong example. I'm going to get a new red Porsche 911. The right way of saying that is I am enjoying driving a new red Porsche 911. It's all about the way you say it and the way you deliver it and the way your mind will interpret it. And this is what I'm going to cover here. So the third one is state in the positive. Affirm what you want, not what you don't want. So an example of that is state your affirmations in the positive. The unconscious does not hear the words no or not. This means that the statement, don't slam the door, is heard, slam the door. The unconscious thinks in pictures and words. Don't slam the door evokes a picture of slamming the door. I did it myself. It does. The phrase, I am no longer afraid of flying, evokes an image of being afraid of flying, while the phrase, I enjoy the thrill of flying, evokes an image of enjoyment. So instead of saying, I am no longer afraid of flying, say, I am enjoying the thrill of flying. So the fourth one is keep it brief. Think of your affirmation as an advertisement jingle. Act as if each word costs £1,000. It needs to be short enough and memorable enough to be easily remembered. The fifth one, make something specific. Vague affirmations produce vague results. So instead of saying, I'm driving my new red sports car, say, I'm driving my new red Porsche 911. The sixth one, include an action word ending with ing. The active verb adds power to the effect by evoking an image of doing it right now. So instead of saying, I express myself openly and honestly, say I'm confidently expressing myself openly and honestly. So the seventh one, include at least one dynamic emotion or feeling word. Include the emotional state you would be feeling if you already have achieved your goal. Some commonly used words are enjoying, joyful, happily, celebrating, proudly, calmly, peacefully, delighted, enthusiastic, lovable, secure, and triumphant. So instead of saying I'm maintaining my perfect body weight of 178 pounds, say I'm feeling agile and great at 178 pounds. Note the last one has the ring of an advertising jingle when you think about it. The subconscious loves rhythm and rhymes. So the eighth one is make affirmations for yourself, not for others. When you're constructing your affirmations, make and describe your behavior, not the behavior of others. So instead of saying, I'm watching Johnny clean up his room, say I'm effectively communicating my needs and desires to Johnny. And finally, number 9, add or something better. When you're affirming getting a specific situation, well, for example, a job, opportunity, or vacation, a material object like a house or a boat or a car, or a relationship like a husband or a wife or a child, always add the words or something, someone better. Sometimes for our criteria, for what we want comes from our ego and from our own limited experience. Sometimes there is something that's better is available for us. So let your affirmations include this phrase when it's appropriate. An example of that is I'm enjoying and living in my beautiful beachfront villa in the Miami coast of the beach, or something better than that. So how to use affirmations and visualizations? Well, review, first of all, your affirmations and visualizations. So review them 1 to 3 times a day. The best times are the first times in the morning, in the middle of the day, and obviously in the evening, just before you go to your bed, because then you're programming yourself all the way through the night. You probably end up dreaming about it if you think about it long enough, which is pretty good for you, because it reinforces your mind and your decisions. Second one, if appropriate, read each affirmation out loud. Third one, close your eyes and visualize yourself as the affirmation describes. See as if you were looking out at the scene from inside of yourself. The fourth one, hear any sounds it might describe what you hear and successfully achieve in your affirmations. Like, for example, the sounds of the ocean, the sounds of the surf, the sounds of the roar of the crowd, the playing of the national anthem. Include important people in your life congratulating you and telling you how pleased they are with your success. Fifth, feel the feelings that you will feel when you achieve that success. When I wrote a 9-page essay about my last day of work and how that would span out, I put everything into it, and I did put every detail into it. How I would have a brass band playing when I left my work. How the two things I would say was I had mixed emotions about leaving my work. The first one was joy, and the next one was happiness. And so on and so forth. I still have that 9-page essay today about my last day at work. But I've focused on that all the time, and I successfully think that's how I achieved to retire at 38 years old. So feel the feelings you will feel when you achieve that success. The stronger the feelings, the more powerful the process. The sixth one, say your affirmations again, and then repeat the process with the next affirmation. There's other ways to use this. I mean, you can put them on Post-it cards. You can hang pictures around your house. You can repeat your affirmations in wasted time while you're exercising, while you're driving. You can record affirmations and listen to them while you work, you exercise, you drive, or you even fall asleep. You can have one of your parents make a recording of encouraging you with saying things in your affirmations. You can repeat your affirmations in the person, I am. In the second person, you are. And the third person, he or she. Put your affirmations on a screensaver on your computer, laptop, or smartphone, so you'll see them every time you use your computer. And affirmations clearly do work. So here's an example. When Jack Canfield learned about the power of affirmations in his 20s, when W. Clement Stone challenged him to set a goal which was far beyond his reach in current circumstances, it would literally astound him if he achieved it. Though he thought that Stone's challenge had merit, it didn't really apply to his life in a serious way until several years later, when he decided to make the jump from earning $25,000 to $100,000 or more. The first thing he did was to craft an affirmation after one he had seen by someone else. The affirmation was basically, God give me my infinite supply and large sums of money to come to me quickly and easily under the grace of God for the highest good of all concerned. I'm happily and easily earning, saving and investing $100,000 a year. Next, he created a huge replica of a $100,000 bill and affixed it to above the ceiling of his bed. So every time he went to his bed, he saw that above himself. On awakening, he would see the bill, close his eyes and repeat the affirmation. And the visualization, what would be enjoying if he had that $100,000 lifestyle. He envisioned the house he would live in, the furnishings, the artwork, the car he would own, the car he would drive, the vacations he would take, and also the feelings he would experience once he had actually attained that lifestyle. Soon he awoke in the morning with his first $100,000 idea. It occurred to him that he could sell 400,000 copies of his book, 100 Ways to Enhance Self-Concept in the Classroom, on which he would receive 25 cents on every single copy as a royalty. That would earn him $100,000. He added to his morning visualizations the image of the book flying off the bookshelves and his publisher writing him a check for $100,000. Not long after, a freelance journalist approached him and wrote an article about him for the National Enquirer. As a result, 1,000 of additional copies of the books were sold that month. Almost daily, more and more money-making ideas flowed into his mind as a result of his thinking. For instance, he took out a small ad and sold books on his own, making $3 per copy instead of the 25 cents on each royalty. He started mailing out a catalogue on mail order and books of self-esteem, and even made more money from the buyers that way as well. The University of Massachusetts saw his catalogue and invited him to sell his books at weekend conferences, and helping generate more than $2,000 in 2 days, and introduce him to another strategy for making $100,000 a year. At the same time, he was visualizing greater book sales. He also got the idea to generate more income from workshops and seminars. When he asked a friend who did similar work on how to charge higher fees, he revealed he was already charging more than double what he was being paid. With this encouragement, he tripled his speaking fee and discovered that schools were hiring him still to speak at an even higher level. His affirmation was paying off big time, but if he hadn't set that goal, really, he wouldn't have achieved the $100,000. But being diligent about the whole process and affirming and visualizing it all, he would never have raised these speaking fees, started a mail order bookstore, attended a major conference, or been interviewed for major publications. As a result, his income that year skyrocketed from $25,000 to over $92,000. Now, of course, he had missed his $100,000 target, but by $8,000. But I can assure you, he wasn't really depressed about it. He'd made $92,000, even though he had the thinking of $25,000 at that time. He'd almost quadrupled his income in less than a year with the power of visualization and affirmations, coupled with the willingness to act when he had an inspired idea. So after that $92,000 a year, his wife said to him, "Do you think we could do affirmations for $1 million? Using that new affirmation, I'm happily depositing my $1 million royalty check for his best-selling book, along with the visualization, and achieving that goal too, and have committed to make over $1 million every single year. So don't wait for 30 years for this strategy. That's the most important point here. So John Newbery heard him telling this story at a business networking breakfast in the 1980s. But he didn't get around to putting his own $100,000 bill on his ceiling until 30 years later. It was June, and he was looking for ways to boost his income. When he saw him retell the story in the movie The Secret, if you've not watched that movie The Secret on Netflix, you need to watch it. That'll blow your mind. He rushed home to put his own $100,000 bill above his bed, where he could see it in the morning each time he woke up. By September, people were calling him to hire him to consult. Soon after that, he was representing 2 recording labels and negotiating deals for major artists. And in January, he flew to New York to pitch Barnes & Noble as one of the dozens of other sales representatives pitching to them that day, asking them to place an order for the recorded works he'd actually represented. After chatting pleasantly with Barnes & Noble buyer about his kids and family, Joe watched in amazement as he pulled out the necessary paperwork and wrote him an order on the spot. It wasn't a modest order Joe had expected, however. As he headed to the elevator, he looked at the paperwork in his hand, and he quickly calculated the commission on the far more substantial order that had actually been written than he had pitched for. To that penny, he had just earned $100,000. And that is the importance of visualization and affirmations and following the 9-step process in doing that. You could quadruple your income within a year if you follow that process diligently and consistently and persistently. I've done it already, and I'll see you tomorrow.